Here's what it's going to cost.
We're going to be starting in just a minute. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 7th, 2025 work session of the Haverford Township Board of Commissioners. Before we begin, I'd like to make an announcement that the Board of Commissioners met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss a legal and personnel-related matter. We'll begin the meeting with a roll call, so I'll ask our Township Manager to call the roll.
Commissioner Gondek.
Present.
Commissioner Forsty Grupp.
Here.
Commissioner Cavender.
Here.
Commissioner Holmes.
Here.
Commissioner Quinn.
Here.
Commissioner Hart.
Here.
Commissioner McCollum.
Here.
Commissioner McCluskey. Commissioner Trombetta.
Here. Now ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by our Police Chief, John Viola.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I did not.
Chelsea.
I tried to stop. Everyone, to start tonight's meeting, we'll hear a presentation on the library renovation and expansion project from Margaret Fox Tully, President of the Board of Trustees of Haverford Township Free Library. Ms. Fox Tully, thank you.
Are here tonight in the front row, as well as our partners, Ken and Randon from CBD, and of course, on behalf of our extraordinary staff. I'm delighted to say our library 18 months ago began a pretty massive project to weed and empty and move the entire collection to 3 different locations. And tonight I'd like to share essentially 4 pieces of information with you, give you just an update on some of the logistics of the move and how it's going, talk a little bit about our opening day, our formal opening day, share a brief update on the search. As you know, we are in a search for a new director, and then finally just share a note about our capital campaign. After that, Ken and Randon will come up and share some visuals of the really exciting progress that is being made. So a week, not this coming Saturday, the Saturday after will be the last open day for library services. After that point, our staff will begin the process of packing up Manoa and beginning to retrieve all of the collection from our storage site, as well as some things that we have in the administration building. It will take, as you can imagine, several weeks to begin to settle into the new home and the new space. Even our book drops will be closed periodically for that period of time. The one at Crack and the Y. Of course, since folks will have difficulty returning things, there will be no fines administered on items. People certainly can return things to any other library in the Delaware County system during this period, and the website has ample information for our patrons, no doubt about that. So on Thursday, May 22nd at 8:30 a.m. will be the very exciting moment where it will essentially be a ribbon cutting, and we are delighted to be planning that day. We envision at 8:30 some brief remarks, welcoming remarks, and of course remarks of gratitude. We are in the process of inviting key constituents, representatives, of course, from county, state, federal government, our supporters, representatives from the county system who have been invaluable to us through this process, and of course, former friends and staff, school administrators, and neighbors. We will have some remarks, some brief refreshments, an actual ribbon cutting. We're still figuring out the logistics and deciding we would much prefer it to be from the outside in, but we'll have, of course, a rain plan if that isn't feasible. And then the staff has begun to plan a wonderful day-long set of activities that will invite and engage folks of various ages and interests so that it will truly be a day-long celebration. The director search. We had begun the search on our own. We posted in national, regional, and local sites. We have received approximately 15 resumes, but we haven't yet felt like we have found, as we're calling it, the director of our dreams. And that is exactly what we deserve. That's what our community deserves. So we are in the process of engaging with a search firm that specializes in library administrators. And we certainly will keep you updated as that process moves forward. One more item before we get to questions is the campaign. Many of you know, or at least I hope you do, that we launched a capital campaign when this project began with a public goal of $500,000. And the goal is to have, once the library opens, to have the resources to outfit it appropriately. So for example, in spaces like the Innovation Zone or Maker Space, to always have current technology and resources. In the room that we are calling the sensory room, the room that's designed for children with and adults with learning differences, that we have the most current technology. I'm very pleased to say that as of today, we are 78% complete toward our goal of $500,000, thanks to the extraordinary generosity of really our neighbors and friends. So we are delighted by that and are confident that by May 22nd, we'll be able to say that we've reached our goal. Finally, of course, before I turn it over to Ken and Randon, I want to, on behalf of all of us on the board and on the staff, express a deep, deep, deep gratitude to each of you for your foresight, for your vision. We believe this will truly be transformative for our community. It will be, I know it's on the same site, but once you walk in, you will realize you are in a completely different library, one that I think will stand us in good stead for many, many years. So we're deeply grateful and thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about it tonight. Any questions?
Any questions from my colleagues? No, just
Okay.
thank you for your leadership.
And I'm going to turn this over to
Hi, good evening. We're just going to provide a quick update with some visuals of the library. So this is the front of the building as well as the new glass entrance. As you can see, the windows, the custom windows have started to go in with the majority of them finished. And the contractors are finishing up. There's about 2 more windows. And then, off in the distance there, you can see the front of the building with all the glass installed. The next picture is kind of a close-up of that, where you can see the elevator shaft in the background. And then the stairs as well as the ramp have been poured. So in the coming weeks, they'll install the pavers, and then here shortly they'll start doing the sidewalks and kind of lock in the front there with the site work. Here is the external view of the gaming room, which is another good elevation. You can see the new pendant fixture and some metal panels there, and then in the background, they have the louvered fence, which they've started, as you can see in this. So they finished up the fencing today, actually, and then they did the initial course of paving, as well as some of the bollards for the parking spots. So the final wearing course will be done here in the coming weeks, as well as the line striping to finish off the parking lot. On the inside, this is the first floor. This is, I believe, the fiction section. So you can see that the majority of the contractor's work has been completed. And then the furniture vendor is on site, has been on site for the last couple weeks, installing all the shelving. Here's an actual view of the new elevator and the wraparound stair that goes from the lower level all the way up to the second floor. And then you can kind of see over there to the left, I believe, yeah, your left, is the entrance vestibule and then the front entrance glass. Here is the second floor, kind of viewing from as you walk up around the elevator shaft. This is the river, which is kind of created by the flooring. And this takes you all the way from the elevator all the way back through the addition, predominantly the children's section. And you can see all the children's shelving that is begin installation the latter part of last week. So that's currently ongoing as well. Here's an internal view of the gaming room. So you can see a good picture of what the room will actually look like with the glass facade as well as the overhead pendant. And then all the displays will be there to the left, kind of where that scaffold is. This is the lower level, which was created by excavating down. So to kind of put it into perspective, if you look where the stairs are, the top of the stairs was the existing elevation of the lower level prior to the underpinning as well as the excavating down. So this became all usable square footage for the library. So this will be staff offices as well as a lounge is kind of behind. And then this is just a little example of the millwork and the casework that's being installed throughout the library. This is the finish. This is an actual view of the catering kitchen from the community room into the kitchen. And then lastly, this is the lower level community rooms. You can see the track for the operable partitions, which will kind of section both rooms off. The finished floor has been done. And they're a good clean, a little bit more paint. So the project in totality is moving through the finish portion of it with the painters and a little bit of drywall touch-up. And then the owner vendors, the furniture vendors, as well as the audio-visual and IT vendors have all started on site and or remotely with the library at the old township building, just kind of getting everything installed. So everything's progressing well and continues rather, and then hoping to, the contractors are, wrapping everything up here shortly in the next, 3 weeks. It's kind of everything we had in terms of the update. In regard to the change orders, we predominantly submitted change orders on unforeseen conditions. A good amount for the general contractor was for steel conditions that came up in field throughout the project. There were a couple electrical contractor change orders for some power needed for some mini split units that were not on the contract drawings. And then there was a little bit of work with the new roofing overlay that had to take place. In terms of overall contingency right now is at $55,652. Were there any questions in regard to any of the change orders?
So colleagues, as you may know, number 11 on our agenda are contract awards, and as mentioned by Mr. Petray here, there were 3 change orders under our agenda for next week. That said, are there any questions or comments related to those items since we have Mr. Petray and Mr. Matthews up here?
I don't have any specific questions on these change orders, but since we're almost completed, when do we actually close it out and we know there will be no more change orders? Are we getting close?
Yeah, I think, the paperwork always straggles behind. I mean, these guys submitted stuff the other day that's 4 or 5 months old. So, so there's a lot of that. So there'll be some loose ends, but we have everything already tracked in the budget. So it's probably going to take 2 months.
Okay.
To really close out the paperwork. They not only have to get all the change orders done, but it's also all the closeout paperwork, for how everything functions, all the training they have to still do with the township staff and the library staff. So that'll all get done over the next 2 months.
So you could still come to us with a couple more change orders?
Yes,
Okay.
we'll still be back. Still 1 Mill Road to do, the parking lot, which will start in about a week and a half, if anything comes up there. So there will be little loose odds and ends here and there.
Will one mill be done by May 22nd?
Yeah, they start, it's 17th, and it should take about 3 to 4 weeks at the most.
It's just paving and putting in
It's
the
really, it's
electric
just grading
car.
and paving, so they feel very comfortable about 3 weeks. So even with a little weather, 4 weeks.
Okay, thanks.
I don't think we can open if one mill isn't open, so.
The library can't open unless the parking, so the parking lot will be done, yes.
And just to clarify, after we approve these change orders, there's 55,000 left in the contingency?
Yeah, so everything presented to you already, and even things that have not been presented, are all within that contingency. So we've kind of scrubbed through the budget at this point. You know, you had holds for things that you thought may happen or not, so we've really gone through and cleaned that up. Last month, it was about 50,000 again, so we've stayed there based on where everything is. So it's been holding true so far.
Great, thank you.
So you said the number 55.6, that's net of what we're doing this next week. That's what we have left.
That's what we have
After
left,
these
after everything
change
that's approved and anything projected.
Okay.
So we have a number of things
But
projected.
and these 3 we're doing next week.
These 3 are included in that, right?
Yes.
So 55 is the balance after all of those things.
And of note, a good amount of what is included on this recommendation letter, we had holds in the budget. And then, as the true costs came in, we presented them to the board, so.
Any further questions or comments?
I just want to thank you guys for all of the updates that you would give to us, and I did not get any calls from everybody on Mill, so that was good too. I think that you guys did a great job, so thank you again.
No
Sure.
problem.
Just jinxed it.
I know.
Please don't say it.
Just knock on wood right now. Thank you. Any further questions or comments?
Yes, I'd just like to say thank you again to the library board for your tireless, devoted, consistent efforts to bring this project over the line and give the community something we've been waiting for more than 20 years. And there's going to be so much excitement, and I hope you're all there to watch people's faces when they come into that beautiful library. So thank you for all your devotion. I'd also like to thank you, Brandon and Ken, for leading this project and overseeing every detail and making sure that decisions were made in a cost and time-efficient manner. It has made all the difference because we did not want that library closed even a minute longer than it needed to be. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
It's been a great project to be part of.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
I'd now like to move on to our Commissioner Committee updates. I invite commissioners who wish to share updates from their respective committees to do so now.
Madam President.
Yes, Commissioner Holmes.
Finance Committee met, and just to very preliminary discussion to start thinking about next year's budget, get some insight from our Township Finance Director about what will be revenue drivers this year, what do we anticipate in 26 to be out of the ordinary increases in expenditures, so we can just start making plans. So it was a very productive meeting.
Thank you. Any other committee updates? Then, as president of the board, I'd just like to report that the township has issued a public notice seeking township residents to serve on 2 of our boards and commissions. We currently have 1 vacancy each on the Health Advisory Board and the Human Relations Commission. Interested residents are encouraged to submit their resume and letter of interest no later than Saturday, April 26th. Submissions may be sent to our township manager via email or delivered to this property here. That said, we'll now move on. Any further questions, comments? Commissioner updates? Okay. I'm now inviting our police chief, John Viola, to provide an update on police department activities in Haverford Township.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just one thing I want to update you for an arrest that happened over this weekend. Carjacking happened in Philadelphia. The information went out to surrounding police departments and to Upper Darby. Upper Darby did track the vehicle through their camera systems, their automatic license plate readers, showing the vehicle was heading into Haverford Township. One of our alert officers, Officer Joe Adamski, put himself in a position along Westchester Pike in case that vehicle did show up. In fact, it did. He followed the car without red lights or sirens just to not alert them, not to get into a chase, follow them onto the blue route, waited for help, and then, as we say, lit the car up and the vehicle stopped. The operator bailed, jumped over the barrier. The 3 other occupants stayed in the car with help from multiple agencies. All 3 were arrested in the car, and the 4th one was arrested outside of the car, and the weapon was recovered. So it's a good police work where no one was hurt, and it got I think 4 dangerous people off the street. So the chief's report for the month of March: 16 criminal arrests, 1 juvenile arrest, 310 traffic citations, 13 non-traffic citations, 57 written warnings, and 593 parking tickets. As far as citations, a new law will come into effect on I believe June the 5th or 6th for cell phone usage or texting in the vehicle. It will now be a primary violation. You don't have to stop a car and see somebody texting. So if an officer sees somebody on the phone or texting a car, they can be stopped and issued a citation for that. We think it's probably one of the best things for safety purposes we've all seen or been behind people who have been driving erratically, we think erratically, or driving slow because they've been on the phone. Now, the state has put in a 1-year grace period where only warnings will be issued until next year, and after that, the actual citations will be issued. So during that period, that 1-year period, it will be a warning, get used to it period, and hopefully we can cut down some of these accidents involving phone usages. We had 1 burglary attempt, a township-owned property on Vermont Road. They get in through a door that wasn't alarmed and started to remove copper pipe. The water was not shut off, and a flooding condition occurred. No video was available, so the building has been secured. The alarm has been reworked, I believe, and the water has been shut off until something happens with the property. I didn't want to say too much there, right? Motor vehicle theft attempts, 100 block of Juniper Road. The owner of the vehicle stated that sometime overnight his Dodge Durango was stolen outside of his house, just out of view of his Ring camera. GPS features showed the vehicle was parked in Philadelphia. Philadelphia PD located it. They found the sunroof shattered. Also missing from inside the vehicle was a scooter, a $500 scooter, tailor-made golf clubs, $3,000, DeWalt impact drill, $200, and a multi-tool for $150. 1300 block of Leadham. The owner of the vehicle heard a loud exhaust from his bedroom. He went to check and noticed his white Honda was missing. 6 shifts, strange. Thieves usually don't take 6 shifts. Cars only a few of us know how to drive them, right, Larry? And the keys were left inside the car. Police later observed the vehicle operating northbound on Route 1 at a high rate of speed into the city. We did not pursue it to keep things safe. Vehicle was later recovered in Philadelphia. And we have multiple Kias and taken. We had one taken on 100 block of Mill Road, stolen from the side driveway. Both set of keys were home inside the house. The vehicle's found abandoned on I-95. Strange place to leave a car. But the 600 block of Colony, a Ford Expedition was taken out of the driveway. The keys were left in the vehicle. And we had 10 thefts from vehicles, 2500 block of Chestnut Avenue. A license plate was taken. A unit block of West Eagle, another license plate was taken. They obviously are used on stolen cars just to change the license plates on them. Bill in Alston, blue Subaru, the owner found his car ransacked. 500 block of Strathmore. 2 of the victims' vehicles were discovered and entered. And no signs of Ford Century, they were left unlocked. 500 block of Strathmore, same thing, the vehicle was unlocked. A few things were taken out of it. 200 block of Strathmore, 300 block of Cathmere, 300 block of Strathmore, 600 block of Colony, and the 500 block of Strathmore. Now, what we have found, that some of these vehicles that are being stolen from the area, not just Haverford Township, it's a band of thieves working from Camden. Our detectives have have a relationship with Camden detective who's been working hard at this. They come up from Camden, they steal a car, leave a stolen car here, steal another car, take it for a joyride, just continue with that. And then 2311 Darby Road for a burglary. Rossi's Tire, an auto service at 291 East Township Line Road, waiting for arrival. Upper Darby Police Officer Brennan did conduct surveillance on the lot, did observe a blue Chrysler minivan parked in front of the garage bay door, to male dark clothing inside the vehicle. Upper Darby Police did arrest him. This is related to our burglary at 2311 at the gas station. So there was an arrest for both of those incidents. That's all I have, Commissioners. Any questions?
Any questions or comments?
I have a quick question about the new driving law with your phone. Is it still legal to do hands-free? If you
Is it
have
still legal? Yes, it is.
legal if you
It is
have
legal, yes. Yes.
speakerphone or
Yes, and
whatever?
it has to be hands-free or you're inside the system that's with the car. You still use that.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, see, now phones or now cars have all the apps where you can
Right.
have the Bluetooth, you can talk to text. I can't.
And you don't have to let you drive the car anymore. It drives
My
itself.
talk to text does not come out the same way that everybody else does. But but now you can have the hands free and just talk to. So there's no real need to
Correct.
have that. So.
All right, left you out when I said stick shift because I know you drive a stick shift car also. So.
Chief,
Yourself,
someone
Larry, and
stole
me.
a stick? Somebody's robbed a car with a standard transmission? They actually, do you think it was a joyride? Or do you think
What's
they
that?
actually, I mean, they can't sell that car. Do you think it was
They
just a
take it for
joyride?
joyride, so.
They
Or
got
the
it, they
clutch
got
up,
it back,
guess,
I know
right?
the owner.
I'm sorry?
They got it back, I know the owner.
Yeah.
I'll
Thank you.
stop
Commissioners.
leaving my keys in mine.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, I actually do have one question for you. And this is something years ago, I had family that lived in Hoboken. They would leave their cars unlocked because they didn't want to lose a window or a ragtop on the roof. It's still the most effective way. And for the most part, people aren't getting windows smashed
No.
just to get the stuff out of the cars. I mean, cars are getting stolen that way, but it isn't, you're not risking a broken window or a torn soft top
No,
of your
not
car.
what you're referring to, but there are Hyundais and the Kias where there is a electronic tool where you can unlock the car and start the car besides even jumping it. So there's a couple of models are still having issues with easy car thefts, but there's stuff out there that these thieves have hands on that they can get into a car.
But our typical thievery just from the cars is not people so desperate that they're smashing windows or
We
tearing
don't,
roofs.
see. We
just going
did,
to the
over
unlock
the years we've been dealing with this, we did have a few, but mostly it's just unlocked cars. We see so many, with the videos that we see, they're walking down the street just trying doors and they're able to get into a car.
So
and
it
then find
remains your
keys.
advice, everybody lock their doors.
Yes,
Thanks, Chief.
you're welcome.
Thank you. We'll now move on to reviewing the items scheduled for consideration on our next Board of Commissioners meeting on April 14th, 2025. Once again, because we have individuals in the audience this evening specifically here to speak on proposed projects, I'd like to move to the resolution portion of our agenda, which is number 9. So we'll begin with resolution number 2447-2025, which pertains to land development approval for Coopertown Elementary School. Mr. Matthews is here to answer any questions that we have related to this item. Matthews, do you have a presentation?
Well, we just wanted to at least have the plans up.
Fantastic. If you can provide a brief overview.
Just to
that would
give
be great.
everybody a quick perspective. What you can see here, so the white part of the building is the existing building. You have 2 gray additions at the bottom of the plan, 1 small gray addition at the front entrance. Building's getting added about 20,000 square feet. So there's, your typical stormwater management improvement. Most of the parking lot stays the way it is. There is a new exit road being added, it's an exit only onto Coopertown Road that does not exist, but all the other curb cuts stay the same. Really, on the backside of the building, again, you have your typical underground stormwater management, so all that's required. All that's gone back and forth between our engineer, K&Ws, and Pannoni. So I think Chuck can speak to the fact that all the engineering items have been addressed at this point, all the comments. So there was a few comments from the planning board, a little bit of sidewalk was added. So there's a new sidewalk from the corner of Stockton all the way down to Buck Lane and a little bit onto Meadows Lane. So that's really the bulk of the improvements. We met with the shade tree, all of those items committee have been addressed. There was one item we did have to go to zoning to get a little bit of relief. The existing loading dock is non-conforming, just where it is. It's in the front yard. That's the way it was built, 60-some years ago. So all those zoning relief requested were approved. The only thing is we have to put, the school district's going to have to put gates in front of the dumpsters. So really, that's where we are. If anybody wanted to see, we did have some renderings just to give you some perspective. So this is the front of the building. So this is that addition out front. The existing auditorium is being turned into the new library. Windows are getting cut in there. So the front of the building will really change and look great. So again, just scrolling through, there's the loading dock. So this is a rendering of it, but now there'll be gates in front of those two green dumpsters. And this is the rear classroom addition. So it's really just kind of filling up that grass space out there. It does not impact the soccer fields. They'll be impacted temporarily during construction, but they'll remain for use after the additions are complete. So just a couple renderings of the addition. This is a new 2-story lobby, very similar to Linwood Elementary School, that finished in 21. There's the new library, new larger cafeteria, and so just some images for perspective. Are there any questions?
I had some questions. Could you go back to the plan? It looks like right now when you pull into Coopertown, it's a circle drive sort of. Well,
Yeah, so you pull in here, it's one way, everybody goes through, and right now the buses and cars all drop off here in the morning. So a big part of this was to move the buses over here so that parent drop off and the buses are separated.
So there will still be the turnaround that exists, but there will also be an exit on Coopertown?
Correct. Right now the parking lot ends right here. So now we're going to cut through the lawn area and put a new exit only onto Coopertown Road.
That will only be for buses?
Not for the most part, but it will be for cars as well. But for the most part in the morning, it's meant to be for the buses.
So is there anything that's going to be done for safety when you, between where the driveway is and then up to Highland where the traffic guard stands?
Sure. So, the school will have folks outside like they normally do. They're all out here now. So now this will be the bus entrance. The bus drivers obviously are trained for dealing with students. Right now there is no sidewalk here, so people just kind of cut across this parking lot. So now they'll come down the sidewalk, there's a crosswalk, and then this is all new sidewalk into this entrance. So there's also a crosswalk here. This is additional ADA parking spaces. So the school felt very comfortable from a safety perspective.
So you don't need another crossing guard?
Not that I understand, and I don't believe there even is any. I know that was requested for Chatham Park, and there just are no more crossing guards.
Okay, but we don't think there's one needed?
From the school did not feel another crossing guard was needed. No, you have the one at the corner. So in the morning, car drop off is out front, buses are here, and in the evenings, all the parents park on the roads, and they come walk over and get their children, and the buses will be in this lane in the afternoon for all the students. So pretty much the way they function stays the same except for the morning.
So buses will go in and out in the new, or just out?
Well, so in the morning, buses are here, come in right through here, drop off the students and leave, and they all turn right. In the afternoon, the buses all tee up here. There's 6 or 7 buses. They all tee up here. Students leave at 3:30, and then the buses go out the way they always have.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, so there's no change in the afternoon.
Just the morning.
It's really just the mornings. It's really chaos if you're there, because you have buses lined up, you have cars, kids crossing across, so it's just not a good situation.
Right. So what is if we approve, what is the exact construction period?
Sure, it would be, the goal is to award at the end of April at the school board meeting, and then start work this summer, as soon as school ends, and then be done for August, substantially complete, August 2026.
Okay.
So 15 months construction.
So this summer, people will see a lot of construction equipment on the soccer
Yes, so
fields.
there's a fence that goes around this whole rear area. It's a laydown, very similar to Chatham. We have to do a whole fence across the front here for this addition. We're building a cattle chute to keep the front entrance open for all the students and staff. So yeah, it will change, but for the
Are
start
they
of
still
school.
having ESY there? Or they don't usually do summer school at Coopertown, I guess?
They won't have any summer. I think they have a lot of their summer things at Linwood.
Okay. No,
There's
that's
a lot
right.
of them. I don't know all that.
What about playground camps?
Realistically, they would probably cancel everything for this summer and move it to
No,
other
Brian's
schools.
saying they will be-
Playground camps over here?
Yeah, we spoke with JR about that.
Oh, okay, so you already coordinated that. Okay, great. Thank you. I did not know that.
Property.
That's township property over here, correct?
All right. Yeah, I'm not going to be here next week to vote, but I just wanted to make sure I was clear on,
Sure.
and just to state publicly, I'm in support of this plan. I think it's going to be great for Coopertown. I've spent a lot of time up there, and I think these are great improvements, and especially, it doesn't sound like there's going to be a huge impact on Coopertown Road, which is the only thing I had heard from residents that were a little worried.
No, I think there were some that expressed concern during construction, but typical concerns.
Okay, great, thank you.
No problem.
Any further questions or comments from my colleagues?
I just have a quick question. So I see that there's request for relief from the curbing ordinance, the sidewalk ordinance that we put into place, is that correct?
So the sidewalk and curb ordinance is that you're supposed to have sidewalk and curb around the entire property. So now there is sidewalk and curb across the front along Highland. There is nothing along Coopertown. So as part of the project, it was proposed that the school district would put a sidewalk all the way down. But with Coopertown being a PennDOT road and curb and grading, it was really to just leave it alone. So we felt like it was a reasonable relief to request.
Okay. Is there any fee in lieu being put forward in this agreement?
No, I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
I thought we had a discussion about adding some sidewalks.
We did.
Yeah, we
they
did,
added
yes.
the sidewalk on Meadows.
On
This-
Meadow.
Yeah, so it only went to the corner, but the planning board felt like, with some of the chaos with, a lot of the various sports teams, it would get people off the street and get onto the sidewalk along Meadow and
And-
not walk through the street to the corner.
The sidewalk is further in than a typical sidewalk, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
to
which was
preserve
the
all the
reason-
trees.
Right.
So
was the
yeah,
reason that
we
the
would have had
curbing
to, you
wasn't
would have had to
needed.
take down all these trees to truly follow where the sidewalk will go. And of course, these are all beautiful, mature trees. So really wanted to stay inside of that. So we're kind of inside the drip line of all the trees along the road.
So there is a sidewalk being put in on Coopertown and Meadows, but that's it. You're
Well,
saying the
there's
relief
already a
was-
sidewalk across the whole
Right.
front. So in theory, that's why it felt like it was meeting the intent of the ordinance.
Yeah.
So the only thing is there's no curb on Coopertown. So it
There's no
drains,
curb,
like the water all drains off into a few areas. So it didn't seem like it was necessary to add the curb.
No curb, but there is a sidewalk.
No curb, just a sidewalk the whole length.
Okay,
So
thank you.
just to clarify, the only new sidewalk is going to be for that section on Meadow.
So the new sidewalk is from the corner up here down this 1,500-foot run all the way down Coopertown and across Meadow. There's no sidewalk there.
There's no sidewalk. Well, what I'm saying is you indicated that there's going to be, once the project's done, where will there be new sidewalk?
This is all new sidewalk. So here along Meadow
Just the Meadow, okay?
and new sidewalk all the way along here, all the way along Coopertown Road.
Okay.
Nothing exists there now, so that will be all new
Okay,
sidewalk as
that's,
soon as the
okay,
project
that's
is
where I was
done.
confused. So it is getting new sidewalk there.
Yes, 100% new.
So what is the section that's getting a waiver then?
Curb.
Oh, okay, I apologize. So the sidewalk's there, it's the curb, it's the waiver. So we're not granting a sidewalk waiver.
Correct, just a curb.
I apologize. Okay, thank you.
No, no worries.
Any further questions or comments? Good, thank you, Mr. Matthews.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next week, the board will consider a resolution number 2448-2025 related to a subdivision and land development at 223 East Park Road and 112 East Township Line Road.
Good evening, good evening.
Good evening.
Just one quick, is the coloring rendering that's up there, is that ours? Okay, that's all I probably need to know.
That's all you want?
Yeah, well, that and the plan
This
set, yeah,
one and
I'm technically
That's
challenged
yours.
sometimes.
That's okay.
I'm good, that's
And
good.
that
I can
very
go over there.
first one,
Yep,
okay.
okay, great, thank you. Thank you. My name is Jim Buckler. I represent the applicant, Karamanico Homes LLC. Also present tonight is Gus Hoopman, the project engineer, and Dan Karamanico, who's the principal of that company. This project is the two parcels. It's 223 East Park Road and 112 Township Line Road. Up there, you can see that's not exactly the existing conditions plan, but it shows what's there now, which is there's two parcels. One has, or both of them have houses on them. The house on the corner of Park and Township Line is currently used as a daycare facility, and the house that fronts on Township Line is used as a rental property. Neither is actually currently owner occupied. We've been through a couple of iterations of the plan. The initial plan that we submitted would involve taking down the house on Township Line Road and creating 3 new building lots. But after our initial meeting with the Planning Commission, and based on some comments and recommendations that they made, and also the recommendations from the township engineer, we modified the plan, and the plan now calls for the combination of those 2 lots and then subdividing them into 4 lots. And the two lots will contain houses to be retained. The 2 houses that are there will be retained, and there'll be 2 new houses built. One will front on Park Road, and the other will front on Township Line Road. But all of the properties will have their access from Park Road. There won't be any accesses onto Township Line Road. This color rendering can give you a better picture, I think, of how it's going to look under the new iteration. It shows the two houses that are there now are going to be retained. Of course, the daycare facility will be modified and turned into a single-family residence, and the other house, which is already a single-family residence, will remain, and 2 new homes will be built. The Planning Commission has reviewed this plan and recommended approval with conditions. The Shade Tree Commission reviewed this plan and recommended approval with conditions. The plan is zoning compliant, and we are seeking 2 waivers from the zoning or the subdivision ordinance. The first has to do with the street, the width of the roadways. The subdivision ordinance calls for, when you're doing a subdivision, to dedicate, in some cases, additional road width and widen the width of the right-of-way. And along Township Line Road, at least, it was actually the recommendation of Mr. Capuzzi. That he pointed out that PennDOT doesn't want additional right-of-way. If we propose to offer it to them, they won't take it. And so you have a problem, which is who's going to take it. So the simple answer was we propose to not give additional right-of-way. We're going to keep, which is something that the ordinance requires a waiver for. On Park Road, we would have had to add an additional 2.5 feet of right-of-way, and honestly, there didn't seem to be any point to it. That whole project, that road is completely developed. There's no potential for any future development in that area, and to simply add 2.5 feet of right-of-way on this little strip would probably just be nonsensical and confusing. We can do it, but there seemed to be no point to it, and it seemed easier to keep the right-of-way line consistent along that section of the road. So we're asking for a waiver with regard to that. The other waiver we're asking for is to allow us to pay a fee in lieu of dedicating open space. It's almost, well, actually, it is impossible to create open space on this site in any viable way. And so this would be a case where that would be a logical thing to do. The Planning Commission was certainly in agreement. I can't say they made a specific recommendation, but the discussions that we had with the Planning Commission were that they were in agreement that those were both waivers that they would support. I think as far as beyond that, I guess why don't we say that At the last planning commission meeting, the neighbor that has the property adjoining us to the top, above our property on 119 Park, Mr. Bono came, and he was concerned about the tree that you see that tree that's on the edge of the property, that sits on the property line. And we did modify the plan based on some of the recommendations from the planning commission, and we modified it by moving the driveway a little bit further away from the property line, by moving the utility lines underground on the other side of the driveway, so that we are so that they will be on the outer half of the drip line of the tree, which is what the township ordinance calls for. We're also modifying our order of construction, so that if you look at this, you'll see that dotted line up top there that kind of goes over the new house and turns. That whole area right there in the upper right-hand corner of the property is currently now macadam. It's all driveway and parking for the daycare. And so we're going to do all of the construction on the new house using that area before we take out the driveway, so that we'll minimize any impact on the adjoining tree. Those are all changes that we've made, and they're referenced in the planning or the Shade Tree Commission's recommendation as things that they recommended, and we discussed them with Mr. Bono and his wife at the Shade Tree Commission meeting. And I would say I have reviewed the draft resolution that's been prepared, and it does provide for the conditions of approval that were recommended by the Shade Tree Commission. Also, the comments from Mr. Faulkner about the plan and the Planning Commission's comments. And we're in agreement. We will accept any of those conditions and comply with them. Beyond that, I'm here to answer any questions, and Mr. Hoopman's here to answer any questions that go outside of my area of expertise.
Thank you. I'll open the floor. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments?
I see there's a shared driveway to the two lots in the back. Will there be a shared driveway agreement? Or
yes, there's an easement. There's an easement created. There's a 20-foot wide easement. The easement's been drafted. I actually gave a copy to Angelo because he wanted to see it. And I'll certainly review that. And then one of the conditions is that the township solicitor review and approve that.
Okay, so there's a condition already that easement, and that's a maintenance easement as well as an access easement?
Yes, it's maintenance and access easement, yes.
Will there be individual stormwater facilities managed by each lot, or would it be controlled by
No, it's individual stormwater facilities. I can show you that if you want to see it. I'll go back to the plan set, and I think...
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay,
There's going to be four separate...
They're underground seepage beds on all each of the lots.
So each lot will be having an operation and maintenance agreement.
Other than the shared driveway agreement, there's no shared facilities on the site.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
Yes, I have a few questions about this development. This development is happening in my ward.
Right.
It's actually happening very close to my house.
Right.
And I've had a lot of commentary from neighbors who see me walking around the neighborhood. Right. And the place where this subdivision is taking place is in the Lanark neighborhood, which is the second oldest neighborhood in Haverford Township. Right. It was founded in 1894. Right. And it has a very distinctive character and distinctive architectural features. And in the comprehensive plan that we're going to be adopting, one of the sections is about historic preservation. And it talks about how these neighborhoods, like Lanark, the second oldest in the township, should serve as a basis for directing design and building form for greater harmony and maintaining neighborhood character. So I fervently hope that that is taken into consideration in this exciting opportunity to allow 2 more families to move into our wonderful township and enjoy everything that our township offers, because it's better for everyone if character is matched.
I understand what you're saying, and certainly I've talked with, and we've talked about the advantages to a builder of building a home that conforms with the community. It's just going to be I always like to think that if things make sense economically, they're more likely to happen. And so I'm simply saying to you, we've already talked about the fact that building something that fits in with the community, is going to be a positive from a, you know, but has modern amenities on the inside is a way to go, sure. So I think this is great because I know that at the first meeting, and I'm sure you've also heard people that are happy that the daycare center is not going to be there anymore.
There has been some
Yes,
discussion
yes, so
of
in
this,
any
yes.
event, yes. Okay. Yeah,
But thank you for that consideration.
yeah, we certainly will.
Any
My
further-
clients certainly will.
Further questions or comments? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your time. So we now return to reviewing next week's meeting agenda. We'll start at the top with proclamations and presentations. So at next week's meeting, the board will present a proclamation recognizing April as Autism Awareness Month, a proclamation recognizing Arbor Day this year, and a special check presentation from the J.D. McDonald Foundation in support of our 5 volunteer fire companies. Any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding either the proclamations or the check presentation? Okay, hearing none. Next week, the board will also consider the approval of warrants as detailed in the public agenda packet that will be published prior to Monday's meeting. Are there any questions or comments related to this item? Very good, we'll move on. So next, yes.
Would this be the time to ask about the license plate readers?
No, let's keep
Okay.
moving. I will get to that, though. So next week, we will consider filling one vacancy on the Environmental Advisory Committee in Ward 6. So Commissioner Holmes, be ready with your nomination. But assuming there are no questions or comments, we'll move on. Hearing none. So next up is our consent agenda. Before we begin our review of the individual items listed under the consent agenda, I'd like to remind my colleagues and the public that these items are grouped together and will be considered, though, with a single vote at next week's meeting. Each item is outlined in greater detail in the public agenda packet, and we'll take some time this evening to review them individually. If any member of the board would like an item to be considered separately, they may request its removal from the consent agenda either tonight or at next week's meeting so that it may be addressed independently. So moving on, we'll go to the first item under the consent agenda, which is our approval of minutes. So next week, the board will consider the approval of our minutes from the March 10th, 2025 meeting. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments or requested additions or deletions at this time? Okay, so next week, we'll also consider under the consent agenda an escrow release related to the land development project at 4008 Darby Road. This release pertains to funds held in escrow for required low-pressure sanitary sewer installation. The release amount reflects work that has been reviewed and approved by the township engineer as satisfactorily completed. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments?
I do have a question.
Yes.
It seemed that there was a difference between what they requested and what we released.
You're very perceptive, Commissioner, there was. And I think what the developer did was included items that were not necessarily held in escrow, like legal fees and stuff like that. So the number we have, we being the township has, is the correct number that's indicated on our escrow.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions or comments? Okay, next week, the board will also consider an agreement related to the Crossroads Figure Skating Club under the consent agenda. This MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding, is proposed at the request for the former Crossroads Figure Skating Club to clearly state each entity's responsibility for all of its own activities up to the eventual dissolution of the former club's 501c3 status. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this agreement?
I just had a quick question, because there was a memorandum attached to it. Mr. Walco, the document that's attached to our information, that's the final draft of that? I'm sorry? Oh, he's looking. I'm sorry.
Actually, I can answer that. That was the final draft version we had. Mr. Walco's still working with counsel for the 501c3 that's dissolving, And I think in the memo I had mentioned if that language is not final, we'll have to table this. But right now, this is the version we have.
Okay, but as of today, there's still the possibility that this
Correct.
won't actually be voted.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Should we remove this from the consent agenda?
I mean, assuming that they'd get back to us prior to next Monday, it would be ready to be on the consent agenda. If they come back and say, we disagree with our additions, we should pull it from the consent agenda at that time.
Remove it from the consent agenda since we haven't seen the final version.
Understood. We'll do that. Thank you. Any further questions or comments? All right, very good. Next week, under the consent agenda, the board will consider a capital purchase for the police department to replace 77 duty firearms with new models equipped with mounted light systems. It's my understanding that this is a relatively routine replacement due to age and use, and the current weapons will be traded in as part of this process. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this purchase?
I have a question, Chief. Could you explain what a mounted light system is?
The current weapons we have now are just the standard weapon without the light. So if an officer goes into a dark environment and he needs light when he has his weapon drawn, he has to hold his flashlight and do a tactical move like that. The newer weapons now have a light mounted on the weapon. So when he pulls his weapon out, the light follows where the weapon goes. So it keeps him safer. That's a more natural movement and environment for the officers. We train this way all the time. It's just we waited to upgrade the lighting system when we got new weapons.
And does that light come on automatically in a dark situation?
They have to turn it on. It does not automatically come on. There's a little switch on the sides of the thumb. It's part of the training. It's the weapon handling. So when the officer draws his weapon, he just uses his thumb. How the weapon the light is mounted and turns it on. It can be turned on full time or momentarily or a flash.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Any further questions or comments? Okay, so next under the consent agenda, we'll consider the purchase of 6 Scott Air Packs for the police department. Any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this equipment purchase?
I would just clarify that I think that the air packs are for the fire department, not the police department.
That's correct.
Very good.
I was wondering whether.
Any further questions or comments? All right, next week we'll consider an amendment to a purchase originally approved by the board in February 2025, specific, hold on, did I get that right? Or did I miss one? Oh, I'm correct. Specifically, the board is being asked to consider approving the purchase of 1 Chevy Silverado EV work pickup truck in place of the previously approved 2025 Ford Super Duty F-350 truck for the Public Works Highway Department. Any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this amendment? Hearing none, we'll move on. Next week, the board will consider the purchase of a sanitation truck and associated equipment for the Public Works Department under the consent agenda. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this purchase? Okay. Next week, we'll also consider the purchase of 5 automatic license plate readers for the police department. I know Commissioner Cavender may have some questions related to that.
Yes. Is this similar to what we voted on a couple of months ago?
That's correct. What you voted on a couple of months ago was the proposal for us to allow to ask for a grant in addition to what we are purchasing, what the township is purchasing. So we had asked for a grant for 10 cameras through the state. We won't hear from them until September or later.
I'm just curious about data collection and where it goes. I mean, I fully trust our police department to use it in a way that's going to keep us safe. How does that work if another arm of the government would like to have whatever data? I mean, this and other data that we collect.
It's a reasonable question. The data goes into a secure server managed by a company because it's all of the whole Tri-County area or further goes into that one server. Can't tell you the legalities of somebody wanting to get in that but there are very firm state regulations that don't allow anyone else to get that information with the exception of the police work that we do. So any other agency trying to access that would be blocked.
Including state and federal?
Well, the state has access to it because they manage it.
Okay.
The federal does not have access to it.
And that's
I
definite?
I can't go on to say what goes on after that. Commissioner, you know what the world is like now, so.
Right.
But my hope and my trust is that what we use it for is just for the purpose of that. You can't tell the nationality of a person or where they're from. It's under the license plate and the make of the car. It's only that you could see.
Right. And I know we collect a lot of data, I'm sure. It's just, I mean, I think it's an extra question to ask of how it's going to be used and who, especially right now, I mean, the federal government.
It's a reasonable question. I agree with you, but listen, today's day and age, no matter where you go, you're being videoed or monitored. Or your phone itself tracks everywhere you go, and who knows where that information goes?
Right.
We all look at something and then we get inundated with advertisements. So how does that happen? You know?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Chief, I also have a question. The brochure talks about it can be used for finding cars that are being driven by somebody with a suspended license. Is this something we're going to routinely be using, or is this more, the incidents?
You couldn't tell somebody has a suspended license because it's not collecting information from the operator unless they're stopped. So it's only reading the license plate itself and giving the make. If the registration is expired, yes, it will show that. But our officers do that routinely on a daily basis anyway, just by checking. The problem is that when the state did away with the stickers, nobody knows when that license plate expires. It's kind of a ridiculous thing to save a couple of bucks. But no, it's not a routine thing that we would be using on a daily basis.
Okay, thank you.
And Chief, just to clarify, I know that we kind of had this conversation back in November, but just to reiterate for anyone who didn't hear it then, to clarify that this is not a speed camera. This is not a stop sign camera. This system has no way of ascertaining who's actually even driving the vehicle. It's just simply to state that a car with a certain license plate passed that camera at a certain point in time.
That's correct. They can't even be adaptable to red light cameras. And state law does not allow municipalities to even use red light cameras. There's only cities, first-class cities are allowed to use those, such as Philadelphia and I believe Pittsburgh. Excuse me. So no, we only will see the license plate of the vehicle, and that's it. The only time we would access that if we're looking for a particular vehicle, we put that information into the system and would show us where that vehicle may have passed another camera. But what we have been seeing recently is very effective when we're in fact looking for a suspect vehicle.
And to clarify that this system actually is beneficial not just in terms of lawbreakers such as the shooting on Westchester Pike and so on, but can actually be used to help identify lost or missing persons.
That's correct. Recently, very recently, we had a senior citizen who lived locally who suffered from Alzheimer's, got in his car and drove, ended up in Bucks County. Through the system, we put the silver alert out, and we also checked with the system to see where the vehicle had been hit on these cameras. So we had a general idea where he was. Luckily, he was found the next day in front of a house, and he was okay. But yes, we had a very good general idea where he was, so that we were able to track that he was in a Bucks County area and return safely to his family the next morning.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I think it would be beneficial for us as a board, and I'd make a motion to remove this from the consent agenda.
Thank you. Noted. Will be done. Any further questions or comments?
I have one more question, Chief. Do you know how long the data is stored that is collected?
Sorry,
Thank you.
I don't have an answer, but I can find out for you.
I believe, I might be wrong, but I thought I read somewhere a year. But don't quote me on that.
You may be right. I'm not exactly sure, but I don't want to give you the wrong answer.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll move on. So next week, we'll consider awarding a contract for the installation and refinishing of the gym floors at the Township Rec facilities under the consent agenda. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this contract award? Next, we'll move on. Finally, under the consent agenda, we'll consider awarding a contract for the installation of LED lighting in the lobby area of the Crack. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Okay, we now move on to reviewing the ordinances under consideration next week. So first, we'll consider a second and final reading of ordinance number 3014-2025, amending the ward precinct boundaries of 3, 4, and 4, 4. As a reminder, the board held a public hearing and subsequently voted in favor of this ordinance in its first reading last month. But do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this ordinance? Moving on, the board will also consider a second and final reading of ordinance number 3015-2025, installing a stop sign at Rosewood Lane and Linden Drive in Ward 6. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this ordinance? We'll also consider a first reading of ordinance number P5-2025, installing stop signs at Hill Road and Leadham Road in Ward 9. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Finally, the board will also consider the first reading of ordinance number P6-2025, accepting the dedication of a sewer system at 4008 Darby Road. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments regarding this ordinance? Okay, we're moving on to stipulations and agreements. So next week, the board will also consider tax assessment appeal settlement for 122 Joanna Road. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues on the board? I think this concludes our agenda for this evening's work session, but we're good?
Sorry.
Okay. We did have the library at the end there, but we reviewed that previously. Any further questions or comments regarding the library change orders?
May 22nd.
May 22nd opening. Thank you. If there's no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Thank you. The meeting's adjourned.